even know if I'm recording. How do I know? Shut up, it works. I just gotta... Oh no! This is not it. I feel like this was my best option right here. But then I'm like, oh.
I've been ready.
Okay. I don't want to hold it the whole time. This is not it. What happens if I do it upside down? I'm just gonna... That's what we're gonna do. Boom.
Got him.
Just don't slam on your brakes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna lean into you, I guess. Okay, intro. Ready, go.
Why do I have to do it?
Because you're new.
So,
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel.
hello.
My handsome husband is here. Patrick. Already this is not good.
You just zoomed in.
No, I zoomed out. As far out as it goes.
Just traffic left on.
Oh, okay, cool, thanks. Okay. Lean in a
Which is good.
little. Yeah. Okay. Okay, you guys, so today we're going to talk about physical therapy. More specifically, our daughter's physical therapy. And,
Yeah, not our physical therapy.
no, not ours. I was trying to think what kind of physical therapy you're talking about. Really? What was that? Stone cold. I feel like it's just gonna go. So how this came along is I went to a checkup appointment. How old was she? 2 months. Okay. It's on the paper. 2 months. Patrick is right. He's on top of things. So we went to our 2-month appointment, and our pediatrician has this sheet where it says, is your child doing this? And then it's often, all the time, or not at all. And you kind of check what it is. And I was reading through the questions and kind of looking at her and thinking, okay, does she do this? Did she do this? Have we done this? And we came across the question of her hands. Are they starting to open up? And at the time, and we all noticed this, but we didn't know it was like a bad thing, but we all noticed she always like kept fists. And she kept her thumbs in. And I've talked about this in my previous videos if you follow me. And her thumbs were always tucked into fists like this. And we all kind of noticed, and we just thought it was cute. And she's a newborn. She's 2 months old. Okay? So at that stage, you're just like, everything's precious and nothing's wrong. Well, then the question was, is she starting to open up her hands? And I'm like, oh, well, no, not really. Not at all. And then another question was, does one side move more than the other? And I hadn't really thought about that. And so we're in the doctor's office. I lay her down and I'm watching, and her right side is moving and her left side didn't move as much. And it was like a drastic thing. But again, I have this perfect 2-month-old, and I didn't think there were any imperfections. And sorry if it's shaking. It's totally shaking.
It's an earthquake.
Oh gosh. There we go. And so like at 2 months old, I'm like, oh, she has no imperfections, nothing. Like she's perfect, nothing's wrong with her. And then these questions come up and I'm questioning everything. And then I'm like, yeah, that left side's really not moving. And her fists are in fists and she's not opening up her hands. So I mentioned it to the doctor, and the doctor said, well, let's just go to physical therapy and kind of like see what they say. They might send you back and everything's fine, but I'd like to be safe rather than sorry and check it out. And I agreed. I wanted to know for sure. And we get to physical therapy, and Patrick wasn't here for this. This is basically my story right this second. And we get to physical therapy, and she walks out and she goes, is her head always tilted like that? And I mean, her head always kind of went like this. And again, 2 months old, and I kind of chalked it up to be she still doesn't have all her neck muscles strong enough to like have her head completely straight, but it's always tilted to the left. And it was torticollis. Immediately, that's the first thing the physical therapist said to me, is her neck always like that. And I was like, well, yeah, actually it is. And then we found, and I forgot what it's called, and she's not diagnosed with this per se. It's just physical therapist thinks this is what happened, but we would have had to see specialists and stuff like that, and then end up right back in physical therapy. So we just have been working through it without being diagnosed. So this diagnosis is weakness in the left side. I forget what it's called, but all left side extremities are weaker on her. And then she had torticollis of the neck, which is weakness in the muscles on the left side. I was induced. I can't help but wonder if a lot of this has to do with us being induced. We're very different with how we think. So I wonder this because maybe she wasn't fully ready.
You were induced with Aiden also.
I was induced with Aiden also, yes, true.
So that completely takes that away. Because Aiden never had these problems.
You have to speak loud. You gotta project.
I am projecting.
No, no one can hear that.
Then they better read lips.
No, see, no one can hear that either.
Better read lips.
If you can't hear it, basically he said Aiden was induced and didn't have any of these problems. But Aiden was 8 pounds 9 ounces. Presley was 6'15". And I can't help but wonder if maybe she just needed a little more time and wasn't quite ready. This is shaking and it's really bothering me. Anyways, so these are my thoughts. I haven't said that to Patrick before, so now he's just hearing it for the first time. But my question is, could it be because she wasn't ready to come out and we were induced? I don't know, just my wonders. And
let's just sue the doctors and see if we win money.
Yeah.
Since they induced us.
So also, the torticollis stems from the way she was pulled out. So during delivery, I had a fever. I had a fever with Aiden too. My heart rate started dropping and the baby's heart rate started dropping. And so they just, once her head was through, they really just, same with Aiden. Fever with me, heart rate dropping, his heart rate dropping. And do you remember that happening in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and same thing happened with Presley. So it's, I guess this is how I deliver, is fever and heart rates dropping. But again, both induced, so does that have to do with induction? I don't know. But, so when her head was there, they kind of, and it's on video and we've both seen it, and it's like they like pull her out. Like once that head was through, they just like got the whole body out. And so a lot of the torticollis could stem from the way they pulled her out. They could have strained muscles there, which affects signals from your brain to this side of the body because it's damaged. And which is why we're going to go see a neurologist. We don't think anything's wrong with her
Neurologically.
It's embarrassing.
I don't know. One of those things.
We don't think anything's wrong with her neuro.
Yeah. She's fine.
But we're thinking, I want to cross my T's and dot my I's, and maybe he has like exercisers or something else that could help improve that left side because it is still weaker and behind the right side still, and she's almost
not as much.
She's almost 10 months. Or what's
not
today?
As much.
Yeah, she's almost 10 months. Not as much. No.
She'll grab things with her left side. She'll throw things with her left arm.
Yes, but usually the right side happens first.
Her right hand is, her right side is stronger.
Yeah.
But that could just be because she's going to be right-handed. And
yeah, I don't know when that happens either.
With, but yeah, her right side is clearly stronger still, but not as much as it was.
Yes.
Before she wouldn't even move her left arm, like it would stay tucked.
Like.
And she would do everything with her right, and then you had to like put something on her left side where she could only get to it with her left hand.
Yeah, we had to really
in order for her to grab it.
Yes, we had to really like engage that left hand and be conscious of the fact that we needed to engage that left hand. So
we had to start carrying her certain ways.
Yeah.
So that she would turn her head to the left.
Yes.
Instead of the right.
So we're both righties, so we carry her on our right hip or on our right shoulder, and so we had to start carrying her on the left side so that she would turn her head to the left. And
she wanted to look at everybody.
Because she would only look to the right as well. She'd only turn her head to the right, and that was the torticollis, so her head was kind of tilted, and then she'd only turn it to the right. And we had to do exercises to straighten the head out and make her turn her head left, and it was a lot. Like, it was a lot of things that you would not know you need to work on unless you went to physical therapy or you, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Unless you you knew you had to work on it. Like, you just wouldn't notice it. I hope that makes sense. So, at 2 months old, do you think that shaking is like a big deal? Probably.
If we just shake with it, no one will know.
I just feel like, look at that. Did that help at all? No? I feel like that helped. Oh, cute. Well, if we're shaking, I'm sorry. It's on the new car mount, and we've never used it before, so it's shaking. And I don't know if that'll affect the video or not, so we'll find out. Anyways, okay. So at 2 months old, I have this sheet that tells you, I'm not going to show you because it has all of our information and insurance and all that, but at 2 months old, she was, so with her stationary movements, she was at the 9th percentile at 2 months old. And with locomotion,
so what does that mean?
Like out of 100, she was in the 9th percentile out of babies her age.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Like she was weak. Like her stationary movements, like the opening the hands.
She was only better than 9%. That's what it means.
Is this a second class?
I'm just making sure you understand what you're saying.
I understood. She's in 9% of the kids her age. 9th percentile of the kids her age.
So if she's in the 99th percentile, then she's better than 99% of kids her age.
Okay.
But she's in 9. That's a failing grade. It's not acceptable in our family.
That was another thing. Like, they already, like, the second we got there, the first time we got there, they gave her a standardized test immediately. So, like, we're tested from the very, very beginning, which is crazy. But, so she's in the 9th percentile for stationary movements.
They gotta have something to go off of.
Yeah, they do. I get it.
Improves. So.
Woo.
Woo.
Woo. They do. I get it.
Ric Flair.
Okay,
Woo.
so locomotion, she was in the 16th percentile. So both very, very low. Okay, so at 7 months you get tested for reflexes, which we did not get tested for. Yes, we did. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
Come on, babe, get together.
Can't. Hot mess. So we didn't get tested for reflexes at 2 months, but at 7 months we got tested for reflexes, and we were in the 63 percentile. So to opt out of physical therapy, you have to be 50% or above. 50% is the normal. You're in normal range. And then above, you get it. You get it. So reflexes, she's 63%, so we tested out. Stationary at 7 months, she became 95th percentile, so we tested out of that. And then in locomotion, she became 84 percentile, so we tested out of that as well. So we tested out of physical therapy by 7 months, and she improved so much, and she was reaching every milestone. But what the stationary test did not tell is if one side completed the task better than the other. So the biggest problem was that left side was slower than the right. So if she did it with the right side, it still counted, which is a problem because the left side is really what we were there for. So insurance-wise, we are now going once a month, just to keep up and make sure that we're still on track with everything, because I don't think we went every single week, once a week, and I don't think we needed that, neither did our physical therapist. She said, but I do want to keep track because walking comes, and I don't want her to create bad habits, because she was creating bad habits. She was picking up things with her thumb inside just to, what's the word I'm looking for? When you do something because something's not working. Like this wasn't working, her thumb wasn't working properly, so she did this instead. She, you know, sometimes you favor one side or you do too much to one side because you're favoring something else. What's that called? You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so she started altering how she did things because of the way she was, because she wasn't strong in her thumbs and stuff like that. So she started grabbing things like this, and she would just figure out different ways to do it the way that felt comfortable to her. Well, we had to make her uncomfortable by pulling out the thumbs, and we had to do a lot of stretches and stuff. And she also started, when she was starting to stand, rolled on her outsides, which is wrong, or like rolled up on her feet, which is wrong, instead of lifting up her foot, because she was weaker, her muscles weren't as strong, therefore we had to force her to do certain things. It was tough. And then she still doesn't jump very much. Like, she finally, we're almost 10 months, and she's finally just started doing a little jumping, because that's all core, and she had weakness in her body. So a lot of things stem from that, and you start doing other things, and we created bad habits. So we decided to still go once a month to keep an eye on things. And insurance did cover that, which is amazing. I'm so glad they did, because the problem was, how do we word it to insurance to get them to cover it when we test out of everything? Whoa. So that's kind of like what had been going on. I'll try and figure out the name to that weakness of the left side, because it's a specific name, but we still struggle with it. Torticollis is completely gone now, completely gone. Her head is perfectly fine. That was the first thing to clear up, and that was the easiest to clear up. What was the hardest is her thumbs. We still struggle with her left thumb and the left side. But now I kind of like, and why I wanted to do this with Patrick, because I kind of wanted to talk about our feelings about physical therapy, and this is where we both really differed. And his family as well. His family and him were on the same page, and I was kind of like the worried mom who just overdid everything and just wanted to be sure I was doing every single thing. And they told me she needed help, and I'm like, she's getting help. And Patrick and everyone else, even my parents, are like, I think she's fine. Weren't you? Initially?
Yeah, I think so.
Initially, he was like, I think she's fine.
So she called me at 2 months. Presley was 2 months old. I was like, hey, she needs physical therapy. The doctor said it. And I was like,
I did not say it like that.
She's 2 months old. I don't think she needs physical therapy yet. She's like, well, the doctor said it.
No,
so
I explained what they said.
I already set up the first appointment, so we're going.
I did.
And I was like, oh. All right. Why'd you even call me then?
I called to tell him. I didn't discuss it. It was happening.
I didn't discuss it. This wasn't a discussion.
No, it was I'm gonna include
It was a
you.
courtesy. It was a courtesy call.
It was. It was. And he thought I was crazy. along with my family and most families. But when I explained the neck thing wasn't normal, or no, because at that time I didn't know the neck thing, but when I explained that the thumb thing wasn't normal, they're like, everyone's like, oh, I didn't really realize. No one seemed to really realize she was clenching so tightly and keeping her thumbs in. No one seemed to realize it was a problem. And then when I told him about the neck thing, he was like, oh, well, yeah, she does do that, right?
Yeah.
I told him what the physical therapist said. I said, I didn't even mention that to her. She came out and said that to me.
Come on, dude.
And then as we started going through physical therapy, our family started noticing that this thumb situation of her hands in, that is probably the most obvious part of her weakness, is the thumbs. They all started realizing, oh, I can see how that could be a problem. And when you crawl, we didn't want her thumbs to be in and ruin her tendons and stuff like that, and start crawling with thumbs in. So it was very important that we hit it early and got the thumbs out, which we did. I mean, she crawls thumbs out and everything's perfectly fine, but like, she started having indents right here where muscles should be, and she just didn't have that muscle. But the family and you started noticing, like, yeah, she does need help with that.
Mm-hmm.
But he definitely wasn't on board. And now, I want to say when it started helping, he immediately was like, I don't think you need to go anymore. And I'm the one who's like, I want to go till it's solved. Like, it needs to be done.
She was like, I want to go until she's a year old. She's already walking.
Yeah, I
like,
did.
Good Lord.
I did. Because I wanted, those are like big milestones. I wanted to make sure she hit them properly. But, I mean, how do you feel about the once a month now? You don't even think she needs that?
It's whatever. I don't care.
You do care. But you know I'm going to do whatever I think is right. This is more my wheelhouse anyways. Stuff like this. Like, I just, it's not on him to take her. It's not on him to worry about it. It's me. It's my job in this relationship is to do that worrying that he doesn't do. Make sure our kids come out perfect. That might be it.
What?
I mean, is that it? We didn't argue about it. I mean, I want to feel like we discussed it and he didn't, and I said, well, I think it's necessary, and this one hair is really bothering me. I mean, okay, so yeah, you got to tell that story because I really didn't give you an option.
Tell what story?
Could that be an argument for people?
What?
Like, me wanting to do physical therapy and you not? Like, could other parents argue about that?
No, I mean,
I feel like it's one of those things you got to do it.
yeah. I mean, you gotta try it, I guess.
Yeah, you got to try.
See if it does help. I just didn't think she needed to go that early.
But now are you glad that we did?
She would have figured it out on her own.
See, that drives me nuts. I'm super glad we did. She needed it. And you know how much help we had to do at home.
What?
You know how much help we had to do at home.
Yeah.
So here's another thing about it that I just thought of. I walked into that office and I completely felt so guilty. So guilty, because here I have this perfect child and every other kid coming in is kids who would never leave physical therapy. They would never test out. They needed 20. Nope.
Welcome back.
Don't know what happened. But there were kids that needed 24-hour care, kids in helmets. Like, they had horses there for, like, I guess to help with physical therapy and just to exercise. They did a lot of exercises. A lot of them are in wheelchairs. And so I felt so guilty. Here I have this perfect child. But then at the same time, I had to get over that really quick because it was something where I was like, I need to do what's best for her, not what is best for my feelings. Like, I can't feel self-conscious at this place because this is something that if I left it go unnoticed, like, it could have stemmed into something else. She could have ruined her thumbs crawling wrong, and I mean, things could happen. Again, not like drastic, like not like her hands would have fallen off, like nothing like that, but it wasn't fair for me to sit there and feel self-conscious because no matter what I was gonna do, it was best for her. But it was like, dang, like it's very humbling experience to walk in there and be like, you know what, I really do have a perfect child. Because I was so worried and worked up about these little things that were going on, and then here I go to this place and these kids will never test out, and it was just so sad. But yeah, Patrick never got to go to physical therapy because he works and I went during the week. I would have liked for him to go and see it because it's very interesting. It's very interesting what they do and stuff like that. But yeah, so I guess to sum it up, you just kind of, it's one of those things where don't stress about it. I feel like it's normal, and if you just work on it, it got better quickly. But physical therapy can also be disheartening because I always felt like I went in and I was like, and I told him this multiple times, I went in thinking, yes, like we're finally caught up, like she's great, she's doing great, she mastered this skill. And then we would go and be like, oh good, well is she doing this? And I'm like, no.
They just knock you right back down.
Yeah, it was a lot of times it's very heart-wrenching because I'm like, oh, she should be doing that. Like the army crawling or going side to side, that one took a while. And she never really scooted like that. Like she didn't scoot very long.
Mm-mm.
And she didn't really go in circles and side to side. It just kind of turned into crawling real quick. But that's their job to ask these questions. Okay, so that's done. What about this? Is she doing this yet? And that is, it can be so discouraging. So like, don't let it discourage you because eventually they will catch up. But it's kind of like, oh, I really thought we were gonna go in there and I was just gonna leave on cloud 9 because she's finally mastered this skill. And then, you know, time goes so fast and they're that little and they're reaching so many milestones so quickly. It just felt like a catch-up game all the time. But we did catch up. We finally did. And but even now, she's still behind in certain things. She's not speaking like she should. Like she's not making any attempt to do dad, dad, mama. She will repeat sounds, but not do dad, dad, mama. Which now
she mimics sounds really well.
Yeah, like she'll sneeze. Like she'll fake sneeze on cue.
Mm-hmm. She'll growl.
Yeah, she'll growl if you growl at her.
I mean, she'll clap. She's starting to wave.
I'll see if I have a video of it because she claps. This is where you see her right side moves and her left side doesn't because that left side's weaker. So most babies go like this and she just goes like this, which is where you can see it as well. But I don't know, we'll see about the speaking thing. So I constantly have this little pit in my stomach because there's always something that she's a little behind in, and when you see all these other babes, you're like, oh, they're her age and she should be doing that. But you can't do that because every baby's different. Because there's a 10-month-old who's walking, and then there's one who waits till like 14 months. You know, babies are so different. But when you've gone through something like physical therapy, you start nitpicking every single thing and comparing your child to every single milestone that another child's hitting because you're worried, is this something else? Are we missing something? Should she be hitting this? And I need to stop doing that, but that's really hard when the whole time I have to be worried about it. Does that make sense? You're not listening, are you? Go away. But this whole time I have to be concerned about, is she hitting certain milestones? And now I worry if she hasn't hit one, is it a problem? But you can't always do that, but that's really hard. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Okay. Such a butt. Alright, babe. Sign us off. Oh, yeah, sign us off.
What do I say?
Whatever comes to your heart.
Thanks for watching, guys.
That's what came to your heart.
Give us a like and a thumbs up and
What was this?
whatever.
Someone said I should say that. Someone did say, if you put this much time and effort into videos, you might as well start saying, subscribe, hit the bell notification, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. Because I don't, like, I have a lot of friends and family who watch this and aren't subscribed. So, we see you. subscribe. Alright. Till my next video. Bye guys.
That was good.
That was good.